Hello, this is John, W7DBO, with the Field Radio Podcast. This is my review of our Field Day 2017. We operated as a 1 Bravo station, which meant we were at a family campout. My father, Larry Jacobs, WA7ZBO, was there, and also a friend of the family, Chris Fielding, KG7IVS, came up to our Field Day to work the radio. We were at a remote location in Utah, camping with the family, doing some ATV riding, and of course, Field Day. The setup was around my trailer, a 16-foot ultralight trailer. As you can see in this picture, we use this quite often for event support. It's a nice compact trailer that provides a great operating platform when you can stay out of the elements but still be remote. Inside we had the ICOM IC7300, LDG tuner, ICOM speaker, and a Heil Pro mic with the IC model. For logging and digital modes, we had a light-duty HP laptop that was running FLDigi and the N3FJP logging software. The laptop had a Power Plus adapter, so we were running the laptop on 12-volt power with no need of an inverter. We also had a second monitor, which was native 12-volt. So instead of having 2 laptops, we just had a second monitor for the HP laptop. Also had a Kenwood TMD710G VHF-UHF radio. This was used for our talk in and talk around our camp. And also my local club, Utah Valley Amateur Radio Club, was about 5 miles down the road, and I was able to converse with them and see how they were doing. Our main power source while we were running on battery was my Comms2Go Biano Power 40 amp hour battery box. And as you can see here, we ran some Goal Zero USB lights, because at night my trailer is still incandescent light bulbs. So to save on power, we were just using these Goal Zero USB lights for task lighting. As far as emergency power, I used my Honda EU 2009 generator, which is very, very quiet on the bands. And then also an MFJ power supply. This power supply I put into a Comms2Go box that I built, and this works out great as a secondary power supply. Now, we did take our run at solar. Seen here is a Biano Power 60-watt panel, and then that led to our Biano Power solar charge controller that once again is in a Comms2Go box. We also had the Goal Zero powering down to a Yeti 400. This was mostly used to keep our cell phones and other electronics running in the camp. As far as our antenna setup, had a diamond antenna VHF, UHF on a painter pole, and as you can see, rural fences work as great mounts for these radios. For the main antenna, we had the Chameleon Skyloop antenna. This antenna is a 3 to 54 megahertz Skyloop, so it's a 250-foot, 16-gauge full-wave loop antenna cut for 80 meters. Each leg was 60 feet, so a 60 by 60 area was required, which was not that hard of an issue since we were in a wide-open camping area. With the help of our LDG tuner, the Skyloop was able to cover the bands between 80 meter to 6 meter. To match between the loop and the coax cable, there's a 4-to-1 air core balun that's on the corner of wherever your feed line comes down. It's recommended to at least get 10 feet off the ground. We were about 20 feet off the ground, as you can see here, as it pans around through the campground. It was an amazing antenna to work. The noise floor was almost non-existent. Actually, the noise floor was other hams we were hearing across the band. If you noticed in the video and cut the corner of another antenna, that is our Wilson Electronics cell booster that we used because we were right on the edge of cell service, but with this booster and that antenna, we were able to pull in the cell phone signals to our camp. Here in this video is my son Keaton working some stations.
Yours at Whiskey 6 Zulu Echo.
Whiskey 6 Zulu Echo. Whiskey 6
Whiskey 7 Lima Whiskey something again?
Whiskey 6 Zulu Echo, right?
Was there a Whiskey 7 Lima Whiskey again?
Yeah, orange. Now we also had a second station set up that we turned off the one in the trailer and turned this one on. This is Chris Fielding, KG7IVS, with his Manpack radio, which is a Yaesu 857D, a Biano Power 20 amp hour battery. As you can see, Chris here has the Chameleon mill whip antenna, and he also has the extension on top of it, which gives him wider band coverage. Overall, it was a very successful field day. We thought we would be on battery and QRP, but we quickly found out that in the rural West, there's not a lot of stations that can hear you on 5 watts. I'm sure they could hear us, but we just couldn't compete with the noise floor, which was everybody else transmitting. So after a bit of working QRP, we decided to go on up to 100 watts. So officially, we were a 1 Bravo station running emergency power. Before we even left camp, I was already jotting down ideas and thinking about how we can improve on next year. So our lessons learned is I need better cable management with wires coming in and out of the trailer, either through a roof port or a side port. Definitely we need to test FLDigi interface ahead of time with the logging software. I was having issues getting them to talk to each other, and I didn't have the power of Google to solve the issue. Once I got home and was able to Google the answer, it worked perfectly. So definitely we're going to test out our computer systems before we get in remote areas. One thing we didn't even think about was how to position the trailer for sun and shade. We should have turned the trailer so we had shade in the afternoon over the canopy, and that would have given us morning sun for our solar panels on the other side. The Chameleon Skywave antenna worked fabulous. We want to use this as our sole antenna again next year, and we've already purchased additional military poles. We want to get that up between the recommended 30 and 40 feet for maximum efficiency. And lastly, we only had the Goal Zero 100 watt panel array and the Biano Power 60 watt panel array. So our plan is next year we want to work larger panels. So we plan on investing in some 120 watt Biano Power panels and maybe put several of those in an array. I hope you enjoyed this quick recap of our Field Day 2017. I thoroughly enjoyed scanning around YouTube and finding out ideas of other people that have posted their Field Day review. I think this is a great way for all of us to learn and share. Thank you for watching. This is John, W7DBO, with the Field Radio Podcast. If you found this on YouTube and unaware of our podcasts, you can go to fieldradiopodcast.org, and there on the Ham Radio 360 site, you'll find out more information on our podcasts and how to subscribe. Thank you very much. 73.